Point at yourself. Go ahead, do it right now. Lift your hand and point at the thing you call you. Where did you point? Your chest? Your head? Somewhere behind your eyes, where it feels like you're sitting, watching the world through two holes in a skull? Philosophers call this the Cartesian Theater. It is the intuitive idea that there is a central place in the brain where it all comes together, where the show of life is performed for an audience of one, the singular self, the inner observer, the ghost in the machine. But there is nothing at the place you're pointing. When we peer inside a skull, we find neurons, about 86 billion of them, connected by trillions of synapses firing electrical and chemical signals. There is blood, water, and fat, but there is no pilot sitting in a control room. There's a logical problem here, too. If there's an inner observer watching the brain's show, who's watching the inner observer? You would need another observer to observe the first one, and another to observe that one. It's an infinite regress. Instead of a control room, neuroscience finds a vast, distributed, parallel network of neurons doing their own local thing. There is no central executive watching the screen. There is only the activity itself. This leads to a startling possibility that the you who decided to click on this video, the one who just lifted a hand and pointed, is a product of the brain's processing rather than the thing directing it. If there is no observer at the center, then the feeling of being someone may be the most sophisticated product of our evolution. To see how this works, we have to move past philosophy and into the lab. We can now demonstrate that the sense of self can be hacked, relocated, and even dissolved in a matter of minutes. Take the rubber hand delusion. A subject sits at a table with their real hand hidden behind a screen, while a fake rubber hand is placed in front of them. When a researcher strokes both hands with a paintbrush in the same pattern at exactly the same time, the brain begins to change its map. Within 90 seconds, the brain incorporates the rubber hand into its body schema. We know this because if a researcher suddenly stabs the rubber hand with a needle, the subject's stress response spikes. The brain has decided, based on sensory signals, that this piece of rubber belongs to me. We see the same flexibility in phantom limbs. People who have lost an arm often report vivid, specific sensations from the missing part, an itch on the thumb, or the pain of a fist clenched so tight it can't be opened. Neuroscientists can relieve this pain using a mirror box, which shows the brain a reflection of the patient's intact hand where the missing one should be. By seeing the reflected hand move, the brain accepts the visual lie, and the phantom clench finally releases. This suggests that your sense of body ownership is not an absolute truth. It is a functional simulation that the brain maintains to help you navigate the world, and it will sustain that simulation even when the physical body part is gone. If our sense of the body is a simulation, what about our sense of choice? In the mid-20th century, a treatment for severe epilepsy involved cutting the corpus callosum, the bundle of fibers connecting the two halves of the brain. This procedure isolates the two hemispheres. The left side handles language and controls the right hand. The right side processes spatial info and controls the left hand, but they can no longer talk to each other. Researchers discovered they could flash an instruction like walk to just the right hemisphere. The patient would stand up and begin walking, even though the language processing left hemisphere never saw the command. When asked why they stood up, the left hemisphere, which has no idea why the body is moving, instantly invented a reason. Patients would say, "I'm going to get a Coke," or "I wanted to stretch my legs." It didn't just lie, it believed its own story. This is what philosopher Thomas Metzinger calls the phenomenal self-model. Your brain is constantly running a simulation of the world, but it also runs a simulation of you within that world. The narrator in your head is not the pilot making the choices. It is a storyteller that watches what the body does and constructs a narrative of "I chose that" after the fact. It takes credit for decisions it didn't initiate. This implies that our daily sense of being a unified agent making deliberate choices is actually a seamless data structure. We are watching a movie of ourselves and mistaking the narration for the cause. If the self is an elaborate model rather than a physical passenger, why would evolution build us this way? It comes down to a competitive advantage. An organism that models itself as a unified center can plan, predict, and avoid danger more effectively than one that merely reacts to raw data.
The self model gives us a virtual point of reference to navigate the world. Evolution doesn't care if a model is objectively true. It only cares if it's useful for survival. A model that keeps an organism alive long enough to reproduce is correct in biological terms, even if it's a fiction. The self is a tool, no different than a wing or a claw. It is a highly efficient interface that allows us to manage a complex biological system without having to see the trillions of neural firings that actually make it run. Metzinger calls this the transparency constraint. The self model is transparent because we cannot see it as a model. We look through it, not at it. If you could see the pixels of the simulation, the illusion would break, and the survival advantage would be lost. The system is designed so that the edges of the model remain invisible to the conscious mind. This leads to a strange paradox. You can intellectually accept every scientific fact we've discussed, but you will still walk away feeling like a self. Knowing it's an illusion doesn't stop the machinery from running. This creates a significant tension for our society. Our legal and moral systems are built on the concept of a responsible agent making choices. But if that agent is a narrative constructed after the action has already begun, our traditional definitions of guilt and credit lose their anchor. Tonight, when you lie down and the voice in your head starts worrying about tomorrow, ask yourself, who is listening? Turn the spotlight inward and try to find the exact entity hearing those thoughts. Look for the listener. If you look closely, you'll find the sensation of looking and the feeling of searching, but you won't find the someone who is doing it. The cockpit is empty. The model is simply running, and it's running right now.